He has brought smiles to many people's faces for almost a decade, despite 4 marriages and 11 children. In the last moments of life, he was looking for someone of his. In this video, you will know some facts about Charlie Chaplin that you may not have known before. Chaplin's comedic persona masks a difficult upbringing. His parents struggled financially, and both battled mental illness. He spent time in orphanages and experienced poverty firsthand. At the age of 14, he was briefly sent to a juvenile workhouse. Chaplin's personal life had its share of scandals. He was married 4 times, and 3 of his wives were teenagers at the time of marriage. This caused friction in Hollywood and the public eye. Chaplin himself was an immigrant arriving in the U.S. from England as a teenager. This experience heavily influenced his films, which often explore the immigrant struggle. Chaplin had a half-brother, Sidney, who also went into acting. Sidney appeared in several of Charlie's films, often playing bit parts or the villain. Before becoming a star, Chaplin worked as an assistant for legendary director Max Sennett, learning the art of filmmaking firsthand. Chaplin's iconic mustache wasn't a personal preference. Directors insisted on it to differentiate him from other actors. But Chaplin never formally received acting lessons. His comedic talent was purely instinctive and honed through years of performing. Chaplin's 1936 film Modern Times was a scathing critique of capitalism and the Industrial Revolution, causing controversy upon release. Progressive views and socialist leanings made him a target during McCarthyism. He was accused of communist sympathies and eventually forced to leave the United States. The U.S. revoked his re-entry permit, forcing him into exile in Switzerland for 2 decades. He only returned in 1972 to receive an honorary Oscar. Despite the controversy, Chaplin was knighted by Queen Elizabeth in 1975, a recognition of his immense contribution to cinema. Well, famous for silent films, Chaplin was a talented musician, and he composed the scores for most of his movies, and even played the violin and cello. Chaplin was a staunch advocate for silent films, even as sound technology emerged. He believed silent films had a greater universality, transcending language barriers. Even in death, Chaplin couldn't escape drama. His body was stolen from his grave in Switzerland by a group demanding ransom. The thieves were apprehended, and Chaplin's body was reburied with extra security measures. The Chaplin film, The Great Dictator, was a daring satire of Hitler and Nazism, a risky move at a time when the world was still grappling with the rise of fascism. Chaplin wasn't just a movie star, he was a pop culture phenomenon. In 1925, he became the first ever cover star of Time magazine. Chaplin was a strong believer in the power of silent films. Even as talkies became the norm, he continued making silent films well into the 1930s, arguing that they had a greater universality because they weren't restricted by language barriers. Chaplin was a generous man who used his wealth to help others. He donated significant sums to charities and even financed some of his films himself, ensuring he had creative control over his work. Chaplin's talents extended beyond acting and music. He was awarded an honorary doctorate from the University of Oxford in 1936 in recognition of his contributions to film. Before becoming a comedic legend, Chaplin had a brief stint as a professional boxer. Though lightweight and not particularly successful, he did participate in a few matches in his early teens. Though Chaplin found fame in film, he originally aspired to be a stage actor like his father. However, stage fright hampered his initial attempts. While known for slapstick comedy, Chaplin also tackled social issues in his films. Movies like Modern Times and City Lights satirized poverty and the effects of industrialization. Chaplin's influence on cinema is undeniable. His innovations in filmmaking, comedic timing, and character development continue to inspire filmmakers today. The star of the silent era of Hollywood lived out his last days on his bucolic Swiss manor, the 37-acre estate Manoir de Ban, in the small Swiss Riviera town of Corsier-sur-Vevey, about 55 miles northeast of Geneva. If you want to see more videos like this, then subscribe to the channel.